Hello, everybody, and welcome to Let's Get Real. My name is Glenda, and
I am Nicole Harvick, coming from the beautiful state of South Carolina.
I would love to say I'm from the sunny of Toronto, but we just finished with a major storm where we had hail. So whatever.
You just have to roll with it. At least we're here.
We're here, and I now
made
have internet, so it is great. So today we have a special guest that I am so excited that she came to me. You know, things come to us for reasons, right, Nicole?
Absolutely. There's no coincidences. And once you understand that and learn that, everything's going to flow for you.
So I believe in all of that, and the universe comes through. And I met this woman because when I saw her name, Jennifer Ashley, it's my favorite name in the world. Why? Because that's my daughter's name. So, you know, when I saw such a beautiful name, and then I saw such a beautiful woman, and then on top of it, I actually heard her speak, and then I was won. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd love to introduce to you the one and only Jennifer Ashley, who is the one beautiful soul who's coming here to teach us about ageless living. So, Jennifer, would you kindly please tell our audience today a little bit about you and how you believe in ageless living?
Absolutely. Let me thank you first for that beautiful introduction. And I love that your daughter and me have the same name. You'll never forget it. That makes it very, very easy for me. So that's awesome. And like Glenda said, my name is Jennifer Ashley. I'm a master personal trainer. I've been in the industry in fitness for over 30 years. I started my career wanting to be pre-med. And after a year of cadaver labs, I realized I would be the worst surgeon you could have because everything made me vomit. And I'm like, that can't be good for your patients. So I took all those credits and I rolled it in like I was on Let's Make a Deal. And I said to my counselor, what can we do? Because I'm not going to make it. And she's like, well, why don't you go into gerontology? And I said, what is that? And she said, that's the study of aging. And it's the physiological, psychological, and sociological aspects of aging. And I said, listen, in my lab, we're sawing off the leg of our cadavers. Do I have to do that with this degree? And she said, you will never see another cadaver again. I said, sold. I'll take it. I'll take that degree, whatever it is, I'll get into it. And I'm so happy that I did talk about that nothing is by coincidence, right?
Nothing.
It turned out to be such a phenomenal degree for me because I was already a personal trainer and I was using personal trainer, and I was using personal trainer to get through college. And what I was already doing was training a lot of seniors, and they were my niche, a lot of realtors, people over the age of 55. And I'm like, I'm already in this industry. This is fantastic. And now I'm going to educate myself and learn about what happens as we age. Consequently, at the same time, my friends that were in school with me were like, what are you doing studying old people? And I'm like, what do you mean? Studying, we're all going to be old. The only thing is I'm going to know how to do it the right way, and you guys are screwed. So long story short, I went on, got my degree, graduated top of my class, and just fell in love again with what I was doing. And it really was helping people age successfully. And by that, I mean autonomous, like using your own body, not needing walkers or wheelchairs, and if you need it, you know, something might have happened along the way, but if you can prevent it, and that's the world that I live in, is in prevention. So I took this degree and just ran fast as I could, studying everything I could. Our senior year, we did all Alzheimer's, dementia, mild cognitive impairment, all of these different things. So I was really armed with so many great tools as we age, because things start to happen at age 25. You know, our metabolism starts to shift. We start to notice things, but they're happening on a physiological level. So I was blessed that I really got to spend the last 30 years inside of this industry. I'm 93 and look at me.
If you're 93, I am jealous.
You're like, I'm sold, sister. Whatever you're doing, I'm buying.
Where do you live? Because I'm coming to visit.
I can tell you a bunch of other people that also would be saying, put you down for it.
Right, I'm not. I'm 52. But even at 52, I am not kidding you. I can run circles around 30-year-olds. And I've watched my body change over time, but in amazing ways. And that's why I know firsthand when I'm talking to a client or having conversations, I'm living it. I'm not just reading a book and telling you what you can do. I've literally walked the walk that I'm talking now for the last 30 years of my life. So it's really been what I wanted to do. And what I think is my gift is to be able to work with people, and they'll walk into my studio and I have a split second where I can see physically what they're going to be if they follow everything I tell them. And it's so amazing. And when it happens, my heart beats really, really fast just for a couple of seconds because I'm so excited for your journey on this way. And I'm totally already vested in the client. So we work from nutrition to I'll set them up with a really good holistic healthcare practitioner if necessary, if we're going to go into hormone profiling. We do a Trader Joe shopping outing, which is a big store. I'm not sure in Canada they have Trader Joe, right? I know they do in where you live, Nicole, but Glenda, do you guys have Trader Joe's? Do you guys have Sprouts or well, Trader Joe's is like any kind of like upper scale, really healthy shopping. So I'll do shopping outings and I do cooking classes because easily 80% of your energy output and what you feel and look like is what we're putting in our mouth. And I think if people started to realize that, like the medicine and the curse is in the food. So I have an expression I say to my clients all the time, and it's that food doesn't come through a window. If it came through the window, it is not food. Like, don't be doing the drive up thinking you're going to eat something healthy because you're not. So really talking about, cooking whole foods from home, and we do cooking classes specifically for that. So fast forward to now, I've been the caretaker for my mom for the last few years, and she went from mild cognitive disorder to Alzheimer's. And in my senior year, that's all that we did was study cases. And it was so fascinating to me that 5 years ago, my mom started struggling, and she was a top producer in Vegas in real estate, raised 3 kids on her own. Like, she was a powerhouse. But I noticed some things were changing, and she got lost one day in Macy's. And my mom can shop anywhere. There's no way that woman's getting lost in Macy's. Like, that's like a home. So when she got lost and then couldn't find her car, I was already so alert because of what I've studied. And I'm like, this can't be right. So we got her in to see a neurologist who told me, look at this brain. It is the perfect brain. And showed me, the MRI of her brain. And I said, you're missing something. Something's not right because she got lost in Macy's. So what I need you to do is I need you to get me a referral into the Cleveland Brain Clinic. And they happen to have one in Nevada. That's where my mom lives, Vegas. So she got in there, and then they went into detail on the brain therapy and the brain work that they did, and took another MRI. And this MRI had shown mild cognitive disorder. And the tests that they had been running showed this is happening. So it went from mild cognitive disorder to a dementia to her latest diagnosis was mild Alzheimer's. So being a student of that and studying and what you read in books, it doesn't end well. Remember the movie The Notebook? I mean, like we all have heard of it, but there's a flip side to everything. And because I live in that side of prevention, maybe because it's my mom, I didn't want to believe that was going to be the outcome, that one day my mom would not recognize me. And I wasn't willing to have this happen anymore. So I brought her back to California. She lived in Vegas. I brought her back and I studied her. And I watched her walking, and her gait was off. She was literally like holding onto the side of the wall, and she looked like she's in her 90s and she's 70. I'm like, this is weird. Maybe it's vertigo. So I took her for therapy for vertigo. 2 days, they put a belt around her because she couldn't walk normally. They put a belt around her and would walk her. And I'm just watching the gait, and I'm like, this isn't vertigo. Something's off. Like, something just told me, dig deeper, dig deeper. And I did. I grabbed all of her meds, and I don't know what told me to do it, but it was like, get her meds. And I grabbed her meds, and Nicole is smiling.
I'm laughing. Of course you heard that. It came through you. Absolutely.
I'll tell you what, it certainly did. Oh, it gives me chills. And I grabbed all of her meds and I cross-referenced them. And I was like, oh my goodness. This with this creates this. It was like literally playing connect the dots for what I was watching. So I'm like, this can't be right. She's now incontinent. She's using Depends. She is unsteady. And every single med, those were the side effects. Incontinence, unsteady, inability to walk, problem sleeping. I'm like, all the meds that you're giving her for her sleeping, her depression, and her Alzheimer's are giving it worse. So after literally doing a whole worksheet up on her meds, I was like, I called the Cleveland Clinic and I go, I just want to let you know right now, I'm taking my mom off 7 meds today. And the nurse said, you can't do that. She'll die. And I said, she's dying anyway. She's dying your way. No, if she's going to go, she's going my way. And I said, Mom, you're going to have to trust me. 7 meds done. And I watched her over 3 weeks. And I'm not recommending anybody do this. Like, please don't watch the show, do that, and then come back to anyone here. I'm saying what I did for my mom, which I knew was right. And then I hired a linguistic person to come in, a Spanish instructor, because everything that I was reading about learning new languages and the synapses that are formed in the brain, I'm like, what I have to do is get her to dance, like any kind of motor skill, dancing. I got her into a language, so she'd learn a new language. I brought an art teacher over, and then I got her playing pickleball. This is a woman who couldn't walk. 3 weeks later, she's on the pickleball court. And I took video of it the whole way and got her to be into such a good place. And she wanted to be back in Vegas because my 2 brothers live there and they all have kids. And she's like, I just want to be where my grandkids are. And I love Vegas. That's where she's been in the last 50 years. I'm like, okay, I think, Mom, if you really want to go, and I don't want to be selfish and keep you here, now would be because you're in the that you've been in the last 5 years. So as of now, she's back in Vegas, living alone. And I'm not saying that she is cured by any means. I'm going home tomorrow to check on her, and she doesn't want to be here. So that's the other thing. When you're a caretaker, you have this balance, right? Of I want her with me. She doesn't want to be here. So I have to honor that and me. So that she's not me. So
now, let me interject for a bit because, the most important thing, I've lived through it as well. And
yes.
we had our conversation as my mom did have dementia and I saw it creeping up through the years. And, some of the things of meds, she was the opposite of not taking meds. And when it sort of came in, that was one of the things when I finally started, I found a place. We have a place in Toronto in Canada that is North American wide. They work strictly on the brain. And so I had doctors and part of it was getting meds in control. But, the whole idea is, we're living in a world now where we are what we call the sandwich community. Right. So we have our own family, whether it's, our kids or stepkids or whatever it may be. And then we have our parents and we're sort of balancing our world plus our own world. And we're kind of balancing. So, if you're watching this and you're thinking, wow, my mom is what Jennifer's saying is some amazing information. But really what you need to grasp here, and this is what I want to call out to people, is that if you're caring for a parent or maybe a sibling or someone, and you start to see any type of change that they're not normal, like normally maybe they're a certain type and you start seeing maybe an imbalance in them, or you start seeing a speech impairment, or maybe even I noticed it in one of my siblings, all of a sudden where they would know directions really well and all of a sudden they're not really starting to wonder about their directions and things like that. So anything we have to all learn and listen, and Nicole will be the first person to say when something is coming to you, you've got a voice inside you. I want you to respect that voice that's coming inside of you because that voice is telling you something.
Right.
Stop second guessing yourself. I did it for years and I lived to regret what I did. And it was what it was. Obviously, maybe it wasn't my time when that voice was screaming at me. But we have to learn when it comes to all sorts of things about listening to that voice because it really is telling us things. So if you see a parent or somebody in your life that things seem to be shifting a little bit, you can question. Maybe we're not doctors, but we know our family better than any doctor will.
That's a great point.
Yeah, it really is. And what you need to remember is be proactive with what you see because a doctor's only known them for a very short time. You've known them forever. So you're going to recognize things that a doctor might not even think about. And one of the things I know is they're so quick to prescribe. They're so very quick to prescribe.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, if you're going to several different types of doctors,
Oh my
they're
goodness.
prescribing things, but they're not checking what
Yes.
interacts with the
Yes.
other one. And the
good.
person you really need to speak to is your pharmacist, because they're the ones that are going to give you the best advice based
So
on them
good.
looking at all these pill bottles that you're throwing down your parents or yourself
So
or even
good.
your children. And, Ashley, I heard you say one thing, because we're talking about health right now, and you said food is your medicine. And
Absolutely.
why is that so hard to get across to people these days? We didn't have pills in the old days. I mean,
Right.
we had
Yeah.
aspirin, then the
Yeah.
Advil started. But for me, I take nothing,
I
absolutely
love it.
no over-the-counter pills. I never will. My dad is 83. He takes absolutely nothing. And when he goes to the doctor, their first response is, "Are you sure?
Ha, are you sure?
Are you
Wow.
sure?"
Are you sure you're okay?
So-
Nicole, what a good point you are making, because that's a conversation I had with her neurologist, who is triple board certified. I mean, education, absolutely, I respect it. But I said to him, do you know, I laid out 7 medications, and we're going to get into prevention, because that's the world I live in. And I think that we can do a lot here inside of that conversation. I just wanted to kind of touch the end of this with my mom. I took those 7 medications and I lined them up, and he walked into his office and I said, "You want to go through this with me?" And he was not happy. I can tell you that much for sure. And I said, "What does that medication do? What is the contraindication? What is the side effect?" And he was like, "I didn't give her that medication." I said, "Whether you gave it to her or not, she's your patient and she's taking that medication. And now my mom is using Depends. Here's the second one." And we went through one by one by one. And by the time I was at the 7th one, this man looked at me completely different, with a level of respect he did not have at the beginning of that conversation. And he literally said to me, "Jennifer, from here forward, it is you and me. It is you and me with your mom, because I've never seen somebody do what you've done. And most family members won't do this." And I said, "This is so important." I watched this series called Awakening to Alzheimer's, and it was a 2-week series. You can get it on, I think you can purchase it. If you Google Awakening to Alzheimer's, you'll find it. And I just watched these incredible holistic doctors turn dementia cases around, turn Alzheimer's around. So I started following them. I mean, there's a place for the medical community, I believe, but there's another place for Eastern and prevention. And I'm like, that's where we're going to go from here forward. And it made a dramatic difference. And I think, Glenda, to your point, you are your best doctor. Nobody knows your body like you. And our doctors don't know our family members. They don't know how amazing my mom was when they're asking her the typical thing they're going to do in any memory center or any kind of memory testing is they're going to have you draw a clock. And
Right.
They have you draw the face and they have you draw the numbers from the clock. And I'm watching this and I'm like, you don't know who this lady is. And you're giving her a standard test with everything. Then they gave her number tests. My mom is a genius in math. She flew through that. And I'm like, you're not getting it. So you're so right. I think so many things they come back on us. Like, we have to be the responsible advocates for ourselves. And then if we're in the opportunity to be that for our family member, for somebody that we love, we're going to have a much, much stronger voice, to the extent that we have a dental practice. And I have patients that come in that are like, "Oh, I feel really dizzy today." I go, "Really? Go get your meds." And I do this all the time as a game. I'm like, "Let's cross-reference them." And they're like, "Oh my God, I'm going off of them." And I go, "Don't do that, but take this into your doctor. Question everything. Just because they have on a white coat does not mean they're your white savior. Like, you're the only one who really is going to know you better than anything." And like you're saying, trust it. Trust that voice in your head. It's important.
And learn to question things, because I've done it all through the years. I'm an advocate for my brothers who are mentally challenged, and I constantly will challenge everybody. And it's what, because everybody has sometimes even a day that they're off their game.
Absolutely.
Human.
Absolutely. Given grace. Yeah. I totally agree with that.
Well, and I think doctors too, that there has been such arrogance in the field at times that we've been taught not to question them because they're the experts. Problem is, we're the experts about us. They're not. They do have knowledge, but they know nothing about us. That's even if you can get a doctor in to see you, because
That's
usually it's,
so
you know, a
true.
nurse
A
practitioner.
nurse practitioner, yep, or physician assistant. And Nicole, to your point on, in the past, it wasn't the medications that we have today, but in the past, the food wasn't what it is today. You grew up, and my mom grew up in rich soil, in
Yes.
places that were so different than what's happening today to our foods. It's amazing to me that more people are not checking in on where did that food source come from, number one. Number two, that's what you're putting in your body. Like, food is fuel. And that's pretty much what I talk to clients about when I'm working with somebody, that food is fuel. And you wouldn't, run a gorgeous Bentley with crappy gas, right? I mean, I always use that analogy, but I kind of mess it up because I'm not a car person. But you wouldn't put this beautiful body into McDonald's. Like, what you're feeding your body is so important. And at a time where, 60, 70 years ago, everything was very different. They weren't putting the hormones into the animals that they are today to make them bigger, longer, last, all of the things that are happening in our foods today. It's very, very different from before. And a big part of the prevention side of what I teach clients is that, like making sure that you're getting enough water. Don't look at the food pyramid. The food pyramid is a mess. Like, that whole thing, carbohydrates at the bottom, they call Alzheimer's now type 3 diabetes, because it's sugar on the brain.
Oh, that's
So
crazy.
that kind of excess sugar in our diets won't help anyone. And what's super interesting is the brain is set up for survival. So when you're craving something sweet, it's because you're lacking energy, but our brain doesn't know that I could have a nice protein meal that'll give me sustained energy. Your brain goes, get the sugar, because right away I'm going to get a rush, because that's how it used to be. Our brains are very primal, but we're not. So it's really overriding the primal and being intelligent with, what am I feeding myself? How much hydration do I have today? What's happening with my adrenal glands? Because that's real. Adrenal fatigue is real. And drinking one more cup of coffee isn't going to help. As a matter of fact, it's going to hurt.
Absolutely. And, now we have to watch for genetically modified foods. I always tell my kids, I'm like, look, guys, if it doesn't have a seed in it, don't touch it. Everything was made perfectly to flow, to grow, to heal. And people are forgetting that, and they're lazy. Some people are very lazy.
That's a good point. Yeah. And also,
I had a father-in-law that passed away 2 years ago. My ex-father-in-law, still my father-in-law. He was on something like 28 medications.
Oh my goodness.
He didn't want to lose weight. He didn't want to get healthy. He didn't want to walk. He would rather take a pill than work on himself. And when I saw that, and my kids saw that, it's like, let's not do that to ourselves ever.
No, absolutely. Absolutely right.
So before we go on to the next bit, and because we have to be we could talk about this for forever, because there is so much. First of all, I want to tell everybody to really tune in to feeling your own body. It's so easy to be put on a drug and to take all these other things. But I want you to know that when you're eating, when you're exercising, we all know what feels good. I remember about a week or so ago, I was walking and felt very lightheaded, and something was off, and I could feel it. And I kept saying I needed a drink. And even when I was drinking the water that I finally got a drink, it wasn't hydrating me. It was when I got back to my place and took some watermelon, I actually, for whatever reason, felt I needed to put some salt on the watermelon.
Yeah. Wow. Electrolytes. Yeah.
Right. And I don't know how this all came to me. Again, I was just listening to my inner voice. It wasn't until I started eating the watermelon with some salt in it when all of a sudden I started to feel better again. So we have to really, and I don't know where this all came from. I've been doing a lot of things, and I'm not 20 years old anymore. So, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger and grows us wiser. But, so the one thing before we start going on to, first of all, food, and then we start going on to a bit, we've got to talk about exercise, because all is part of our lives, about growing older, but not being older. Like, at this point now in our lives, we're all aging. Everybody is aging, you know, and thank God we're aging, because the alternative really sucks. So I
Yeah,
don't
the
want
alternative is dying, right?
you know, I told my kids I'm going to be around for a few more years so I can make their lives more difficult. But besides that point,
Good
I
job.
to hear from you, like, you know, we've got to be so careful of what we're eating. We have to be fussy. And I know a lot of times there's the biggest thing of time factor. You know, we've got kids, we're working, we're the sandwich community, we got parents, we got everybody, but we still got to feed ourselves. So
Yes,
can we get some little bit of insight on some great things
absolutely.
that we can do even quickly to add to us so that we can have some health to that as well?
Absolutely. It's such a good point. I actually shot a reality show 10 years ago, and it's called From Your Trainer's Kitchen. And it was how to make healthy foods quick. And a big part of it is teaching people how to food prep. So if you food prep, you know, you buy your food for the week. And we get, like, when I take clients to do this, we'll get like 2 different proteins, maybe a chicken and a fish, whatever proteins they like, 2 starchy complex carbohydrates, maybe yam and brown rice, and then fibrous carbohydrates, which are going to be your vegetables. And what I do with my clients is we pick a day. It's usually the weekends, Saturday or Sunday, and we literally cook for 1 hour. That's it, 1 hour, all the meals for the week. Things are frozen. They're put in Ziploc bags. They're put in refrigeration. Whatever your storage, you know, capacity is, that's what we do. But we literally can cook up enough food in a week to handle it for the week. I mean, in an hour, excuse me, to handle it for the week. So it really is about food prepping, right? Because the thing that people do is, oh my God, I'm starving. And then they grab something because they don't have something. I make it a rule, and I really, really press my clients with this, that we don't leave the house unless we have 3 meals on us. Because if you're out, you're caught, something's happening, there's no excuse why in today's world, with the convenience of so many fast ways to make things. I mean, who doesn't have a rice cooker? They're $12 at Walmart. Like, you can cook up your rice for the whole week when you're not even home. I mean, a crock pot, there's so many different ways. I don't eat chicken, or I'm a pescatarian, so my husband's a chicken eater. Only organic. First of all, if I can tell you to remember anything, if you are going to eat animal, eat organic, because they are killing us with the food system. Like, they're pumping everything with hormones. So, and it's worth it when people go, oh, it's too expensive. You know what's more expensive? Your health when it's not good. So definitely taking the time to, so I'll cook up for him like 5 chicken breasts last night. So I know that he has it for the week. And you can cook more than one thing at a time, right? So I'll put potatoes in there at the same time as that, as yams. So everything is cooking inside of that 1 hour. When it's done, it's done. And I'll chop up my vegetables, like big time, like carrot, not salad, because not lettuce, because cows eat lettuce. I don't need to have lettuce, but all the other vegetables that are so high in nutrient value, right? Even spinach, carrots, celery, radishes, like all these things, cut up a whole bunch of them, put it in Tupperware, I put it in the refrigerator, then all week long, I just grab it out. So it's an easy way for people to do that. Also, snacking in between, you can make it really easy. Almonds, 10 almonds have enough protein to last you for out, you know, the next hour and a half, and it has 14 grams of fat. But what's important is the type of fat, because a big issue that people had for a long time, and I believe you heard it here first on this show, I believe in the next 3 to 5 years, they're going to come out with why Alzheimer's, dementia, and cognitive impairment is so high, because these people have spent too long not consuming fat. Because remember, the last like 20 years was a huge rage to not have fat. Everything was non-fat. Non-fat. Don't eat fat. Fat's the villain. Your brain is 82% fat. That is not the villain. The villain is all the like fast foods, all the white bread, white sugar, white flour, all of that. So that all creates inflammation. So we had it all wrong.
All those cold cuts and stuff like that.
Oh, thank you for that one. Deli meats are like a huge, and dairy, people drinking cow milk, not your mom, not your milk. That's crazy. Do you know that almost, I think the number is, it's such a high number that I think it's got to be like 70%. It's way more than 50 of the population in the world are actually lactose intolerant, and they consume dairy anyway and have issues and don't realize it's lactose intolerance. Like, what are you doing?
Again, feeling like I'm lactose intolerant, and I can tell you how sore my belly gets when I've had something
you have
that's
it.
agreeing with me. You feel
Yes.
it.
You feel from inside. The call is coming from in the house. When a client tells me I ate this and felt this, I'm like, I don't know what else I can do for you, because your body just told you that doesn't work.
And
Like,
you
that
know,
is,
the thing is, we've been so conditioned for so long by commercials, and we've just been fed so many things that just truly aren't, they're not for us. They're absolutely not for us. And we need to listen to our bodies, and we need common sense sometimes can just lead you to the right answer. Why are you listening to someone else when you know what's good for your body? It really amazes me, you know, and I see people,
good.
oh, you got to drink, you know, come on, drink your milk.
Oh.
And it's like, oh no,
it's
don't.
It's so crazy. Like, please don't drink that. You don't. It's loaded with hormones. Why? And if anybody's questioning that, why are 12-year-old girls having boobs? Why are they getting their period at 9?
Why are boys having boobs right now? I mean,
yeah, worse.
If you want to be real, you know, it's true. You know, you see them in PE, and they're like, well, I didn't have that when I went to school. What is going on here? But they will tell you they need to produce bigger animals, more milk, and that's the first thing they do is they shoot them with hormones.
My goodness, it's so true. And you have a listener right now, one of your people, Andrea Parents. She's talking about the gut health brain connection. I can't just let it go. I gotta say something.
Good,
You're on it. That gut brain. I will tell you what, they are calling the gut in my industry the second brain. And it is so important.
It really is the second brain.
It is.
Right?
Your heart and your gut are your true centers.
If your stomach is telling you something, if your body is telling you something and you're not listening to what it is saying, then I'm going to tell you something. What are you doing? You know, your belly is yelling at you, I'm sore, it hurts, or you got gas and you're farting up a storm. Things are so true.
It's not normal. Stop it.
That's not normal. And thinking I'm just going to take a probiotic and that's going to take care of it. Take a probiotic. Everybody should, especially in today's world. However, there's a lot that we can do. There's a company called Biome. It's another one you can Google. I don't make any money off of anything I'm telling you, just so you know. But the guy who started Biome, oh, I should have had his name. He is such a phenomenal philanthropist. The guy's a multi-gazillionaire, doesn't need to be doing this. He hired the brightest minds at MIT, at all the top places from nutrition to physiology. And he started this company called Biome. And what you do with that is you send in your poop. And they can tell from your poop what you're able to digest and not digest, what you should be eating, what you shouldn't be eating. So you can be thinking, oh, I'm doing everything right. And then you send in your poop and you're like, oh my goodness, I shouldn't be eating this. And this one thing is why I was having this go on. And you really start to connect the dots within yourself. And how phenomenal when you put your own puzzle pieces together. And you're like, wow, this is what works for me. And that doesn't work for me. Regardless of all the commercials and everything else, it doesn't work for me.
And they say that also if we're meat eaters or even sometimes fish eaters, we're going to have parasites. And the parasites can just suck the life out of you. I mean, that's what they do. And that's another thing. We have to research what we're putting in our body.
Absolutely. Because right. And I'll hear people say, oh, I can pick this up at CVS or whatever drugstore for blah, blah. And I'm like, first of all, that vitamin C is synthetic and it's going to rob you of other things. You want to use real, true sources of anything. And you can start to Google, where are natural sources of vitamin C? Where can I get ascorbic acid? Where can I get these products? And you'll either find a company that's been heavily regulated and that it is a natural product. It's just pressed down, compressed food that's now a tablet, or you're going to find the natural whole food source. Yeah. And either one is going to be better than a synthetic, fake, I got it for cheap product.
Wonderful. And so when we were talking about exercise, what are some of the vitamins, minerals? What do we need to keep our body healthy and keep that movement going? My dad, I refer to him a lot because he tells me, darling, you got to keep your body moving. You know, last week I was there, he was mowing his lawn. So what can we do to age in reverse? What exercises?
Yeah. Oh, I love aging in reverse. We're going to Peter Pan it. Yeah, okay. I love it. So for sure, you have to keep moving. And it's one of the things that I learned in college was that flexibility is one of the most overlooked component of fitness. And you know, when we see older people, how they're kind of shuffling when they walk, Well, the iliotibial band connects from your ilium, the top part of your hip, to your tibialis, the top part of your shin where it connects underneath the knee. That's your iliotibial band. The IT band runs on the side of your thigh. That gets super tight in both the origin and the insertion. And then old people start to shuffle. And then they just think, and most people say, oh, it's just normal. They're old. It is not normal. You do not have to shuffle when you age. None of this is normal. We've just made it normal. So definitely movement, even just walking. It is that whole expression, move it or lose it.
Glenda's a walker.
I'm a walker.
I know, Glenda's like, I'm a walker.
But I'm a walker. I'm a yoga girl.
I love it.
Something so easy that nobody thinks to do. When you get out of bed, the first thing you need to do is stretch. I mean, reaching, I mean, pulling, I mean, everything. Look at an animal. When a dog gets up in the morning, the first thing a dog will do is he'll go to doing a downward dog.
Downward dog, that's right.
So why, like Mother Nature is showing everything in front of us. Why do we have to be so silly that we can't even look at what's right in front of our eyes and see?
Absolutely correct. It's it's such a good point. And also, I mean, stretching is a vital part of aging so that we can age and we're super fluid in our movement. But I'll tell you, one overlooked component too that I'm such a proponent of is strength training. It is one of the only things that has been scientifically been proven to increase bone density. And bone density starts to decline as we age. We've all heard of osteopenia, osteoporosis, and then things break. And the statistic is that when somebody over the age of 65 falls and breaks a hip and ends up in the hospital, half of those people will never make it home from other complicated injuries.
Scary. That's scary.
Super scary. So stability training and making sure you have a course, the strong core is super essential as we age, but picking up a dumbbell. I mean, strength training, buy some 5-8 pound dumbbells and sit at home. You can YouTube anything anymore. YouTube University is the way to go, right? Everything. You can say bicep curls, tricep extensions. What are the best exercises for my abs? You will find it and just start with something, but you can definitely change your physiology as you age. People that are on all these meds for things, exercise is the best medication. Like, not only do you release natural endorphins. Yes, right. You feel happy.
It gets the blood moving, the oxygen moving. We need to bring the blood and oxygen into our brains. We need to
absolutely.
So when we sit down and we're not moving, what ends up happening is nothing is moving. The oxygen is not moving in your body, and that's part of it all.
Yeah, you're like a stagnant pool right there.
And we're such shallow breathers. We're such shallow breathers. Nothing, if you go to the bottom and bring it up a couple times, blow it out, all of a sudden you're like, okay, let's go. I'm ready. I don't need a nap. I just needed to breathe. It's very simple.
Right. It's so amazing to me that, I mean, I've been doing this for over 30 years and I love working with clients, but I've said to my dad 100 times, Oprah Winfrey, she's a talk show person that she's not on anymore, right? But I said, if Oprah would say what I'm saying, everyone would do it. Like the megaphone, whoever's holding the biggest megaphone, right, is the one that people are listening to. And unfortunately, those aren't the ones that are always correct. It really is, like looking at people who are super fit or who look healthy or something and finding out, like, how did you do it? What was your strategy? How did you get there? I mean, for me, I started training when I was 15. And I literally have never stopped. There's 2 times that I took time off. I had a hysterectomy at 28. Thank you. I developed fibroid tumors very young, which is a big part of my health mission. And I don't have a uterus. So I had to take it out. So it's one of the only times, 2 times in my life that I couldn't train for 6 weeks. But I'll tell you what I did. I don't say to do this, but I got on my life cycle way too soon. Because I was like, I got to work out afterwards and had some adhesions. So don't do that. But I mean, there is never a time to not train. There really isn't, because it is a huge foundation for ageless living, for sure. I mean, you feel better, you definitely look better, but I think also it's a discipline. And once you establish that, you trust yourself because you believe yourself when you say, I'm going to do this, because you will. So it's just the consistency of the motion and the movement and making sure you have these different components of aging. And one is nutrition, super important. The second is definitely working out, the physiology of it, and then the sociology of it, right? The making connections, because this is so important. Like when the shutdowns happened, we saw the highest amounts of depression ever because they were closing schools and churches. I mean, not schools, I'm sorry, gyms. I don't know where I said schools, gyms and churches. The two things that people will rely on, right? God and training. So it's important that we're social beings, that we can connect. And that's another big thing that I like to do with my clients is I build a community for them where we can be online together. We can be on my Facebook page. I do free workouts on there, just whatever it's going to be that we can grow together and utilize each other.
Because part of all of it is learning that we, this is what ends up happening also with the older community is unfortunately they become more isolated. And as they become isolated, they start to more move in a downward slope. Really so, the thing is it's, to be able to connect up with people, no matter what your age, no matter what it is, you can always find connections with people, no matter what.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. Yeah, and it's wonderful. I mean, go ahead.
Well, just the Zooms that we can do now that we learned to do during the shutdown, that was one of the things that really kept some people going, is that they had the ability to just chat. Now, we couldn't physically touch, but you can hear with a voice, Clubhouse. I never realized how you could care about a person or resonate with them through just a voice, but you can hear inflection. You can really hear their essence of their soul just through a voice. So I think that really led us in some ways down a really interesting path that, I've never met Glenda in person. I've never met you in person.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I feel very connected just from voice.
Sure.
Eye contact. And so in that arena, I think that could help a lot of people that are lonely or maybe can't get out, is we do have this connectivity.
I agree.
And it's really not hard to learn.
See, that's part of the aging process also to ageless living is staying connected. Because people, 100%. When you start to feel isolated and when you start to feel depressed, all of a sudden you feel like you're all alone. Even if you're not.
I totally agree.
We still sort of, it's still a very like voodoo feeling, like, being depressed, mental problems. Like, you know what? Nobody knows who's got it or who doesn't. But the
sure.
Stay connected. People are more, it's more attuned of building themselves, of who they can be or who they want to be around, because they are allowed to at least have that somewhat of connection.
Yeah, and the accessibility to do that. I mean, you could be doing a workout online. I know through the closing when I didn't have clients coming to me, I was doing free workouts on Facebook 3 days a week, and people were just clicking in Facebook Lives, and I'm like, all right, it's a Monday morning 9 a.m. workout, let's go. And it was really fun because people that I don't know were giving their, sharing with other people that I don't know, but we're all working out together at 9 a.m. And you can do that anywhere and just change the way that you're aging. Like literally decide that, okay, I don't want to go that way. I don't want to use a walker. I don't want to use a cane. I want to make sure that my quadriceps are strong enough to carry me. And you get to make that decision. And then you get to do the work. And it's completely possible. I mean, ageless living, I believe, isn't like what you just said, Glenda. It isn't about a specific age. It's about a philosophy of how do you want to age.
Well, and it's what you make, like there's, I just told you, I just got through a very bad injury, and, I was on crutches, and then I went to a cane, and when I was walking with a cane for a very short period of time, because I sort of said to myself, and I actually said to my kids, I don't want to use this thing. I feel old, and it's just not me. And it was like, you know what? And I had my head changed, and I said, nope, within 2 weeks, I'm getting rid of this thing. I'm not going to be walking with it anymore. And as soon as I felt like my balance, and this is what the next thing I do want to talk to you about, because it's so important, is about our balance. Because when you balance. And I've seen it, and it happened to me many years ago, was because I was using one side of my body because I had hurt my back and many years ago again. And I wasn't walking properly. And because I was not walking properly, because I was favoring one side from the other, actually my back gave out on me. I actually pinched a nerve in my back, and it was another whole thing that I
Wow.
had through.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, balance is really important. This is another part of aging, but we have to learn that even there's little things that we can do. And I know for me, yoga is part of my way of
Great.
balancing myself. And remember, yoga is not that you have to be perfect. It's a practice.
No.
It means
It's a practice.
it means that one day you might be strong, and another day you might really suck.
Yes,
Right?
that's so true. And I think that's a fabulous point about yoga. Yeah.
And there's just so many that you can do actually for balance. You know, the tree pose is for balance. You know,
Absolutely.
you can do your warriors or your warrior 3, where, you know, you've got your arms out. And, you know, if you learn how to do it correctly, have a focal point, it's
So
really amazing. And it's really, really, really going to help you through life. And that's one of the things I would recommend to anybody. Doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be an hour. You can do that for 15 minutes and you're going to enhance your life with just that. We've all got 15 minutes somewhere.
It's a huge point. Yeah. You know what I do with clients when I'm invited to speak places, I'll have everybody stand up and I have a timer. And everybody's standing on 2 feet, and I'll ask everybody to raise their right leg. And we're going to see who can stand the longest. And it's really an eye opener for a lot of people that they're not stable when they're on 1 foot. And that's when we're talking about balance training. So a lot of the stuff that I do with my clients, I'll use a BOSU. It's BOSU. And it's like a ball that looks like it's cut in half and flipped over. And it's
Those are hard.
They're hard, but they're highly
hard.
effective. And I'll tell you, you really learn how to be stable in an unstable position. And for my clients, because I train seniors, it's essential to me that they know how to turn on their core and turn on their abs. Because if they go to slip and fall, if that isn't already a habit, like, okay, I'm going to contract my stomach right now. One of the best things you can do if you're falling is hold your stomach in as tight as you can. Visualize belly button to spine. Pull it in, tighten everything. Like if you're laughing super hard, because that is going to stabilize you. Your core is your stabilizers. So when we're talking about balance training, that is literally coming from your core, your center. And I have a client who is a realtor. She was showing a house and tripped on the driveway going in. There's something on the lip of the driveway. And I had this text message from her. She said, "You're never going to believe what happened to me. I fell on the driveway going up to an open house, but I turned on my core immediately and I didn't get hurt." And I mean, the fact that she just knew, like, right, I'm falling, turn this on, like stabilize.
And that's the thing, right, is to learn even how to fall if you're going to fall. The other thing is what I have done, especially since my injury, is while I'm walking, I hold my stomach in, I hold my core, because that again, it's everything is your core.
Everything is your core, and it's you're doing great training work, because you can be sitting right now, sitting in your car, wherever you are, and constantly think about holding your stomach muscles, pull them back, because a lot of people will just sit and you can see it, their stomach just thump, like they let the bottom leak out or something. I don't even know what's happening there, but it doesn't have to. You can pull in at any weight, at any time. You can start retraining this muscle, because we're talking about the rectus abdominal. It's like this. And underneath, the transverse abdominal sits behind like a belt, and that transverse wraps around your body, your hips. I mean, it's like your stabilizer. And then you have the rectus abdominal. You hold all that in and you are stable. It's a big, big difference.
And let's put it this way, there's nothing worse than seeing this little old man and lady that are walking around and they have their, they're humped over. And why is that? Because like how easy is we even sit here and talk about being able to sit back, putting holding yourself back upright. When you start to do it more and more and more, and then when something changes, there should be some little sign that goes doot doot. You're not doing it. Hold yourself in, sit up straight. My mother used to, when I was a kid, used to take her finger, because I was tall and I hated it. And she used to not punch me like her finger, back in my shoulder blades, to stand up.
Stand up.
Stand up. And
Fantastic.
yeah, like I thought to myself, what are you doing? Leave me alone, leave me alone. But it's true. It was what gave me
Absolutely.
the posture.
That is
So
so good. And it's a really common thing, forward head syndrome. It's called kyphosis. As people age, it's the muscles that line the back of the neck start to really fatigue. And then the rhomboids and shoulders actually roll forward. You know
right,
what's a great thing for that? Cable rope, pull everything back. You can attach even like a band onto a tree and pull back, squeeze your shoulder blades together like Glenda's mom made her do, and then release it. Huge difference in just that scapular retraction back. And guess what? You breathe better because you just opened up your diaphragm.
right.
So better bonus. I mean, 2 for 1. What? My posture's good and I'm breathing? All right, I'll take it.
And I love that you pointed out you could put it on a tree. You don't have to get in the car. You don't have to drive to a gym. You don't have to pay a membership.
No,
just find a tree and then hug it when you're through.
That's
so
easy. I love it. We
so
could do a
easy.
whole hour show on one band workouts. So I had a column in the paper here and it was called trainer tips or something like that. And I did a whole thing on no gym, no problem, because you don't have to have a gym. I mean, I personally love it. That's my go-to Disneyland. But I mean, if you don't, you can find a step outside that you're stepping up and down on. There's your step ups. You can find 100 things to lift while you're outside. There's so many things. My husband and I were in Italy and I didn't have a gym when we went there. And he found a rock and a boulder for me and a hill. I ran the hill. I walked up and down the stupid big boulder. And then I picked up rocks and I did bicep curls, tricep, overhead press, all of it. Because it's such an important thing for me, but it just makes it that it's accessible for everyone. There's no excuse to not be in shape.
Listen, take the jars out of the tins out of your cupboard.
Yeah.
In there. You don't need anything. We make things so difficult.
I know.
A band. There's so much,
You can do so much. Yeah, I love it.
And then when you're outside, be barefoot in the grass. I mean, you're just incorporating so many different things into your body that are healthy and grounding and exercise. And, I don't know why people do that. I think sometimes people do it because they use it as an excuse. I can't get to this. I can't do that. Yeah. And it's
easy.
Yeah.
It's easy, but I think another big component is mindset. As you age, as we do anything, mindset is vital.
Oh, yeah, you're talking
right. And it's such right in there for you. I mean, it's such a huge component of all of it. Like, don't allow yourself to talk yourself out. I love Mel Robinson's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. She did this whole thing around just get out there before your brain does. I've been doing that for 30 years. I have my gym clothes lined up. The minute my alarm goes off, I put on my clothes, feed my dogs, and I'm out the door before my brain knows what we're doing. I'm already somewhere. I'm like,
before I can yell, no, stop.
Before anything goes, no, right? I'm already there. My brain's like, oh God, we're here again. Okay, I guess this is what we do.
Might as well do it. Yeah. And they say 21 days makes a habit. So you can do anything for 21 days.
Absolutely.
And, if you think about it, we've lived this long. Surely I can make a habit in 21 days.
Absolutely, we can. Absolutely.
Just as saying now, mindset sets the stage for everything. And it's so true. I got to tell you something. Everything in life depends on your mindset. Whether you can or you can't, it's your mindset. If your business is going down the drain, it's probably because your mindset. Your relationships aren't working out, it's your mindset.
I love it.
Everything in your life.
Everything.
Right?
Yeah. It's so essential. I know when I was growing up, there were 2 pictures that my mom had in our kitchen. And one was of a clock. And it was pretty much, I don't remember what it said, but it was basically that you don't know how much time you have. And the other one was, if you think it, you can become it. So the mindset. All about like what you think you can do, you can do. What you think you can't, you can't. So why not think you can do it?
Your choice.
Yeah.
You choose wisely.
Yeah, because your life depends on it. For real.
Remember, it only takes a split second. And this happened to me. Only a split second and your life can change forever.
Isn't that scary when you really think about it?
Well,
we take so much for granted.
Here's the thing. This is very true. But if I thought of how my life changed from one split second, if I wasn't in the shape that I was in, I wouldn't be where I am now. I'm back and back moving.
Yes, that's so true.
So if we learn to keep our bodies strong by feeding them, by listening to them, by most importantly, respecting them.
Correct.
Then when things happen to us, because we don't have control over everything in our lives, but when things do happen to us, it is then that our bodies are ready and willing to be able to deal with it because they are been looked after, they've been
Right.
respected, and they've been loved.
That's so
So
good.
remember, it's so important. We have to learn to love what we have because we've only been given one temple.
That's
So,
right. This is the house you have to live in your
Yes.
whole life. You get this one house. Yeah.
okay, we have 5 minutes left to go. Jennifer,
Okay.
I want you to tell us something that will leave our audience with some strength, and then we'll go to Nicole, and we'll be ready to, unfortunately, say goodbye for now. But remember, we're always around next week.
I
So,
love it.
Jennifer, what do you have to share with us that some amazing words of wisdom that you can help our audience with?
I would definitely say that you have to believe in yourself and trust the process, because getting where you want to go might not happen overnight, but I can guarantee you, I'm an expert at this, that if you put one foot in front of the other every single day towards the goal that you've set for yourself, you will get there. And when it comes to fitness and nutrition, 100% the ball is in your court. We have never been in a better time to be in a situation where you can be in the best health and shape of your life right now. And it's all up to you.
Beautiful.
I love that. I love that. And, you know, for me, it's the only person you can always count on is yourself. And you're always there with you. And I want people to love themselves enough to know they're worthy enough to understand that you are special and you are important, and do it for you. Do it for your family, but first of all, do it for you, because what people are doing are watching you. And if they can watch you love yourself, if they can watch you take care of yourself, they're going to see and emulate. So you're kind of that little ripple that you're putting out there. And what you do when you do the right things, you are the ripple, you are the leader, and you are helping others with just loving yourself.
Beautiful. Great. It's so, I don't think I can even top either of you two, not that I'm looking to, but remember, I said this earlier today to somebody, everybody's going to talk anyways. So give them something to talk about. Show them that you can strut yourself and you can be the best version of you that anybody can be. Stop worrying about the criticism. Stop worrying about anything. It's always got to be just about us. Yeah. And just live one moment at a time and live with gratitude and just have love in your heart. That's the best way to be living our lives, as we have to go through it now.
It's fantastic.
Jennifer, Ashley, thank you so very much for joining Nicole and I
today. Thank you. Thank you. I had a great time.
And I learned so much from both of you. So I love these because I don't ever want to stop learning. And when I get on here with Glenda or with a guest, it's magical. So thank you, Jennifer, Ashley. It's
my goodness.
Beautiful to
me. It is truly my pleasure.
And remember, ladies and gentlemen, we're here so we can help you grow just a little bit more as we're growing ourselves, because that's what it's all about. Life doesn't mean that we have to stop at any point. It means that we just got to keep on going.
That's it. I love it.
So if you're watching this on repeat, please post repeat in the comments. Love us, share us. If there's somebody else that needs to hear something that we said today, please don't hesitate and share it. And if there's something you want to bring to our attention and you want us to talk about it, or you want to be on our show, just drop us a note. We're here for you. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.